Ha Maratweka Namana, Nese JJ Schonchin, and we are excited to be in beautiful Palo Duro Canyon for the Comanche Summer performance and Texas musical. I have some very wonderful people here with me. I'm going to start with our Comanche elder and former Comanche Nation chairman, Mr. Wallace Coffey. We have Mr. Benny Tamakera, a Comanche tribal member and an actor in the Texas musical. Mr. David Urich, the artistic director for the Texas musical, and Miss Marla Nonai. She's a Comanche tribal member and actress in the Texas musical and the coordinator for Comanche Summer. So thank you guys all for being here today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. So we're just going to get right into it. How did Comanche Summer come about, and what inspired its conception?
Well, Marla and I, we were hired by Dave in the show back in 2012. And, you know, the people out here just treated us so nice. You know, they showed us all the hospitality. I mean, met some great people is something I never thought I'd be a part of, you know, part of a Texas play or, you know, in a musical. And Marla and I kind of got together and we talked about it and we said, you know, how's a way we can give something back to the people that, you know, were here that showed us so much gratitude and respect. And we said, well, what if we take some demonstration out here in the canyon? And we kind of got a little dance troupe together, got a drum, and we came out here is actually the spring of 2013. That was the first one that we did. And it was well received, I feel. A lot of people came out, and I mean, we just got a lot of feedback, you know, for bringing our Comanches out here. And it's such a great deal. I mean, it was a good time. And since then, we kind of talked with Dave and we said, well, what about if we just do it during the pre-show, you know, during the season? And since 2013, we've been putting it on about the beginning of summer. And since then, and you know, here we are again, the 59th season of Texas.
It is a wonderful, wonderful play, and I look forward to it every year myself. So how does Comanche Summer tie in with the history between Palo Duro and the Comanches?
Well, I'd like to say that this could have been our home. It could have been our permanent home because when the Comanches and the Shoshones separated, we were located in southern Colorado at the time and we didn't have a place to live. Shoshones went back up to Duck Valley, up around there where the Rockies were, you know, they separated and that's where they went back, but we didn't have a place to go. So we sent out scouts in different directions, find us a place to live. And this one scout came up on Palo Duro Canyon and he rested. His horse got watered and fed, and they were getting ready to go back to Colorado and to let the people know he's found them a place. But a voice spoke to him, said, your journey's not over, you must keep going. Well, he didn't want to leave this place, but like that voice told him, you got to keep on going. Eventually, he went up to the Mount Scott area. And when he got to that highest peak, he looked at it and he went up, climbed up on top and asked the Lord, asked the Lord to give him a blessing. And the Lord told him, this is where I want you to bring your people. So we've been around the Wichita Mountains ever since. But this could have been our home, our permanent home, because it's got everything, you know, water, grass, you know, a lot of cover, a lot of protection. But since then, we've been over to Wichita Mountains, but I've been coming here for a long time, close to 40 years, off and on, just because I want to stay and check it out, you know.
And you know, it's a beautiful place. I mean, just as you come over the hill there, and it just like comes upon you, and it is so breathtaking. And I can see why our people wanted to be here. I mean, it's just obvious. It's so beautiful, and just like Mr. Coffey said, you know, everything is here. All the resources, you know, are here. We're here for our people at one time. So how does this tie in with Comanche Summer?
I think, I mean, like former Chairman Wallace Coffey said, we have a historical footstep here as well. I know, like the Quijada, this was probably one of our last strongholds in this area, in the panhandle of Texas, and the battles that went on up at Adobe Walls, the battles that took place, throughout this canyon. This canyon is beautiful. There's only a portion of it on the state park. This canyon is approximately 100 miles long. And I know on the south side of the canyon, they have what's called Cap Rock. It's another state park on the south side. But, it's just, like I said, we have Comanches as well as, our allies, the Kiowas, the Cheyennes, Rapos. I mean, the ones that didn't want to go to the reservation at one point, they kind of all allied together down in this area. And it's a historical place, if you really look at the history of Palo Duro Canyon and the Comanche footsteps, as well as some of our allies.
Yes, I agree. So let's talk about the production. How does Comanche Summer come together every year?
So at the beginning of every year, I start looking for my dancers with the hopes that we'll have Comanche Summer during the Texas season. And what's neat about it is there are people that want to come here and be a part of it. The historical significance is that Palo Duro was 150 years ago. There was the removal of the Comanches, and so now with Texas season being 59 years, and then you look at 150 years of the Comanches being removed from here, you look at how when those future generations, those kids, those elders can come here and be at ease and welcomed with open arms, not just from the Texas staff, but from everybody. They're like, come here. And when they can be able to dance on the grounds here and feel that comfort and that love and that spirit that exists here at Palo Duro, it's something that can only be felt. I can tell you all about it, but you can only feel it. And once people come here, then they know that there is something special about this place. And for our Comanche people, it's a joy and an honor to be able to bring our people and our elders here, to be able to come here with pride. Every day we have pride within ourselves, but to be here in mainstream society and be able to represent our people and our families and help make them proud. I want our people to be proud of us just as we are of them.
Yes, I love that answer. Yes. So, were there any obstacles you faced when you began the Comanche Summer production?
There has
that's good.
Not been any resistance.
That's good.
And part of that, I back in 2001, I had came here just as an individual. It was spurred from a life-changing event that happened in Tulsa, where my life was flashed before me, and you get that life-changing event. I came here because I had a broken spirit about myself, and so whenever I came here, I went over to Lighthouse Trail, and I said, I want to go here. I want to camp, and I want to take pictures of Palo Duro and that Lighthouse Rock. I want to take pictures, sunrise and sunset. And whenever I made it here, the sun had already set, and I was like, man, I really want to get a sunset picture of that, but maybe a sunrise. All right, I need to get a camping permit, so I went up the top, and they were like, well, camping permit is like $12. And I'm like, oh man, where am I? And I'm digging in my jeans, and I'm scrounge up $12. I'm like, hey, here you go. He goes, 32, that's your camping permit. And I was like, oh, that's my lucky number. I'm supposed to be here. And so I went and put up my tent, and I was camping. I got up real early that morning. I went on that trail, Lighthouse. And whenever I got over there, I went to the top and where that platform is, and I said some prayers, and I sung some songs because I wanted those that have been here, those ancestors that have went on here, I wanted them to hear our words and hear our songs and our prayers, and for them to know that we're still here, we're still doing what we've got to do in today's world, but being able to share with those that have went on. I wanted them to hear those songs and those words. And so after I got done, there was this lady. She was probably, her and her husband were probably like in their mid 70s. She was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt." And I said, "Oh, you're not interrupting." She goes, "I don't know what you said, but I felt what you were, I felt it. There was something here." And I said, "That's my people." And it was one of those that I prayed for, that renewal, prayed for that renewed spirit of our people to be able to come here. And lo and behold, 10 years later, Dave, reaches out, and it's one of those things that, our prayers go way beyond just our prayers of today. Our ancestors of long ago have always prayed for our existence today. And I rest in that, and being able to rest at night knowing that we're doing what we're supposed to do and representing our people in the best way that we can, as we were taught.
I would love to go to that. What'd you say it was at?
Lighthouse Trail.
Lighthouse Trail.
Yeah, it's like a 6-mile hike round trip.
Oh, is it? You
Yeah.
got to be in shape then.
Water.
Water. So, are there any highlights or a story that stands out about past Comanche Summer performances that you want to share?
I have something I want to share with you. When I was sitting in my office one time, there was an elder man come in the door, and he said, "Are you our chief?" I said, "Come on in." So he came in and he closed the door behind him. I always had an open door policy. And he sat down and he said, "I want to give you something." And this is what he gave me. I looked at them and I said, "What is that?" He said, "Those are Comanche women's tears." I said, "Tears?" He said, "Yeah." Said whenever the Comanches heard, or the women heard, that the horses were being slaughtered, they started crying. And when they cried and cried, their tears fell, and wherever their tears landed, it crystallized. And these are the women's tears from that time. He said, "I come down to Palo Duro Canyon and I sit there and I look around." And he said, "I picked something up." And he said, "That's not a pebble." And he said, "I picked another one up. These are not pebbles." And he thought about it. He sat there. Finally, he said, "I know what they are." So he came and he brought these to me. I've been carrying them around ever since.
Oh my goodness.
And I showed them off in Lubbock, Texas, at Texas Tech. And the people looked at them and they said, I can see the tear instead of it being a pebble or a rock. Can you see that, Benny? So that really makes me feel good, because I have a piece of history. That old man, his name was Comanche. That's all he told me. And then he got up, gave them to me, and he got up and left. I never seen him after that. And that was really unusual, because what he presented to me was a part of history. And so when I come here, I often want to just sit down and look around the rocks and see if you can find something. But I've never been able to find anything like this. So that's the history on the part of the Comanches.
I love that. Yes. I wonder where he got those out. What part? Just so much history with our people is just here.
Well, I think that the women cried because they knew the horses were not the enemy that we were. Instead of killing us, they killed the horses. And that really hurt them, because they're just like a pet. We treated them like they were human beings with respect, and you know how we are with our horses. We still treat them, high respect and regard. And so that was really important for me to hear, because I've been here probably about 2 times before he came. I just come, I didn't see the play, but I just marveled. And I say about 20 years ago, there was a group of individuals, they portrayed themselves as a U.S. cavalry, where they were a group. And they presented the Cheyennes and Comanches and the Kiowas with a horse. And this was in retribution for the injustices of a long time ago. And so we got a horse down here. And I think the Sovos ended up with that horse. They took it, and that was pretty interesting, and it felt good. Those old men were living at that time. You know, sorry to say their name, but Thomas Blackstar and Tommy Wanee, they were so impressed, they were proud. And they prayed for those men, and they thanked them for their gift. And that was a long time ago.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
That is just, it's just overwhelmingly, oh my gosh. So, how does the Texas musical and the Comanche Summer, how does those tie together?
Well, Paul Green, he was from North Carolina. He wrote the show Texas. And when I got the show in 2006 to direct, I saw some problems with what he had written, and I was kind of baffled by some of it. So I went to Lawton and met with the Comanche, and I'd sent a script ahead of time, and I said I really would love some Comanche involvement in the show, because we do reference Quanah Parker as one of our characters, and so they started questioning me about the script. Our show takes place in the 1880s. Nakoni made an entrance into the show, is what I will say. And I believe her name was Begay, maybe. She was with the museum, maybe. And she said, we believe that Nakoni died in the 1860s sometime, is what we believe. And I went, yeah. And she just goes, well, why is he making an entrance? And then we also had a medicine man that would come out and do this whirly dervish dance and go around and, kind of try to scare everybody. And they told me that was not appropriate either. And so I kind of got my hand slapped, and I went back and I rewrote parts of it that I thought maybe were more historical, that there was a time when Quanah and some of the young people of the nation were allowed to go hunt buffalo, and they couldn't find any because they had all been slaughtered. And they met Colonel Goodnight, who our lead character's based on, but still I didn't have any involvement. And then I met Marla online, and I went and met with her, and we talked, and I don't know how Marla feels about it, but I felt an instant connection with her, that something special had just happened when we first met at this Subway in Cache, Oklahoma. And so I brought her in, we brought her in to film her because she couldn't be here every night, and we wanted to use her voice. And so when we were going to film her, she brings Benny along. And first thing, Benny's first words to me is he gave me a Marine yell, because I was in my son's truck and he was a Marine, and I had a sticker on the back. And Benny hollers at me, and I said, oh no, that's my son's truck. But anyway, we went to eat, and I said, I would love to have a Comanche play Quanah Parker. And Marla goes, well, this is his great-great-grandson. And I went, what? And I looked at Benny, and I got my claws out. I said, I'm going to grab this guy. And boy, what a blessing it was, because Benny and Marla are both not only Comanche, but they're very, very well-spoken for, I don't care who you are. They're very well-spoken, and they're humanity is unsurpassed. I tell people I've never met more thoughtful people than Marla and Benny. They're just very thoughtful. And so not only the show, they've blessed my life. And so then we decided, what can we do to even enhance the Comanche presence here more? And Marla had an answer right away, as she usually does, and Benny, and we came up with Comanche Spring that first year. We did it in the spring before the show. We had quite a good turnout. And so ever since then, it's been a part of our show out here. So it's, I think what it does, besides Benny's performance, but what he does before the show with his, he gives about a 20-minute talk about the Comanche, Palo Duro, and it's very informative. And I think it's eye-opening for a lot of people. And right now, there's a lot of interest in the Native American culture. I think it's hopefully be a blessing to the Comanche and to the Native American all over the country. But Benny gives this talk, and people's eyes are just opened, and they become aware. I don't know. I love to hear him talk because it's good. And then when he, I know I've heard people say, you must hate this country for what they did to your people and how they treated you. And then I hear Benny say, well, I was a Marine for 20 years. I love this country. And he says, I may not like everything that happened to us, but he says, this is my country too. And
Right.
I think it makes some people just go, wow. So,
Right.
so yeah, anything we could do to involve the Comanche, since we're telling part of their story, it's truly been a blessing, both for the show's sake and me personally having these two in my life. So
Yes, they are both a blessing. I agree with you.
yes, they are.
So Benny, you play Quanah Parker in the Texas musical and have been for many years. What is your connection? I know he said that you were the great-great-grandson, but is there something else you want to share?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot too, just being out here, doing the pre-show and, throughout the evening. And people ask me, well, how are you connected? How are you related? And, I start from the top, said, Quanah, he had 7 wives. And I said, back then, the Comanche, we only had one name, and I told him Quanah's first wife, her name was Wekia. And I said that they got married, and that's a beautiful story in itself with Quanah and Wekia. But anyway, Quanah and Wekia, they had, his first 5 children were daughters, and their second daughter, her name was Weoti, and she married a man named Tamakera. They had 8 children. Their 7th was a son named Vance, which is my grandfather. So that's how I trace my genealogy back to Quanah. My grandmother's side, she was a wild horse descendant. And so I come from, 2 leaders within our Comanche people at that time,
Yes.
Chief Wild Horse and Chief Quanah Parker. Yes.
Small horse.
Mm-hmm. And, that's, and for me to come out here and portray my great-great-grandfather, and as part of a cast member in the show, it's honoring, it's humbling, and proud to do it. Yeah. It's fun. I enjoy, coming out here. Thank Dave for allowing Marla to come out here and, giving us leeway to, we have an educational platform as well as a pre-show. And it's just amazing how many people are interested in, the history of the Comanches. Of course, there's a big history here in Texas with Quanah and his mother. Quanah's even taught about in Texas school system here in Texas as part of their social studies. And I have little kids that come up, and it's amazing, they go, I've learned about him in school, and which is amazing because we don't even do that in Oklahoma. But I know but it is taught here in the Texas school system. And like I said, Quanah was well respected. He hosted presidents, dignitaries in the Star House. They have what's called the Quanah Parker Trail arrows out here. You may have seen one at the top of the canyon coming in. It's on the south side of the road. But they say there's at least one in every county in the panhandle of Texas. and they're just significant spots where Quanah was known to have been. There's statues of them throughout the state. You know, it seemed like any museum you go to, there's portions dedicated to them. I know a couple years ago, Governor Abbott signed into Texas state law the Quanah Parker Day. It takes place on the third Saturday of every September. And I think that's just an indication of the type of man he was. You know, he helped not only our Numinut people, but the stories I was told, he helped anybody that asked. I know other tribal leaders came and asked for his assistance. And these were some of the stories that my Hootsie went and passed on to, you know, my sister and me. And, you know, for me to share these with other people, you know, it gives me pleasure to do that, you know. And you know,
He was very, very inspirational and a great leader. He really was.
I feel he did the best he could, you know, and that's all we all do. We do the best we can.
Well, he knew the territory, that's for sure.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
So, Marla, I know you're known for singing beautiful Comanche hymns with your beautiful voice. How do you incorporate that in the Texas musical?
Well, you know, kind of like whenever Dave was talking about when he came to the subway and we had our meeting over there, it was top secret. And I said, well, you know, kind of explain, you know, the scene, like what you're wanting. And it kind of made way for the blessing song, because there's a scene in the play where Quanah's friend Calvin, he's sick, and you know he wants to have this blessing over him, and you know the Comanche words, the music, the songs, they're real powerful. Whether it's at the powwow, in church, just anywhere, it's really powerful, and it makes you feel good. And one of those things is whenever I do sing, after the show, people will come up. Some davos, they'll be crying. They'll be just emotional, you know, like you just see that, you know, I have that lump in my throat, you know, and I'll say, how's it going? And they'll say, I don't know what you said, but I felt what you were saying. I felt it. And that's the spirit, you know, that's the spirit touching them in a way that is unexplainable. It can only be felt, you know, and that's exactly how this place is for me. It touches me in a way that's a spiritual touching. That's how Palo Duro is to me. It's how that song touches all the Thavos, anybody that comes, any of them. It touches everyone, and they leave here blessed in a way where we've prayed over them. And whether they felt good or bad before the show, everyone leaves here happy, and they're proud, and they're just overjoyed. I mean, it's a great family entertainment. Just to be able to sit there and to kind of take in everything, to see people that aren't familiar, may have never seen a Comanche before, you know, to have them be at ease to come and talk to us. I mean, because we use this as an educational platform, not only for our domestic people, the US of A, but global. We have people from all over the world come here to see our show, Texas, and I just think that it's definitely an honor and a privilege to be able to share our Comanche blessing song with the world.
That is just, you know, because you get to meet people from around the world, and a lot of them have never even seen a real native, and all they know about natives are what they see on TV, John Wayne movies or westerns, you know. So how does that feel to represent not only the Comanches but just natives in general? How does that, you know, feel for y'all?
I think it's important, you know. I don't know how many times, I mean, you get asked some silly questions, you know, sometimes, but then you get some genuine questions, you know, are you a real Comanche? And there's some people that just can't fathom that. I say, yeah, we're still alive. We're still here. We're doing well, you know, and, of course, you get a lot of the stereotypes also. You ride a horse every day, and I always tell them, yeah, I said my war pony's out there in the parking lot. It's a Ford F-150, but there's a general interest, to learn about Native Americans, Comanches, Numinuz, and I think it's important to give that perspective of we know where we came from, we know what we've endured, and we're still here and we're doing well. I think that's important to share that message with a lot of people.
I do. Yes, I do too. Do you want to add anything, Marla?
Yes, I'll share one story. There was this one lady. She was kind of up there in age, and she come walking up, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, are you real? I mean, are you really? You're a real Comanche?" And I said, "Yes, I'm real." And she said, "Can I touch your hand?" And I said, "No, you can't." And I was going like this. I said, "I'm a hologram. Can't you tell?" And I said, "Yes, you can touch my hand." And she was like, "Oh, wow. I cannot believe I've seen an actual Comanche Indian." And I was just like, okay. But it's amazing to me. But again, we use this as an educational platform. It is important for not only our people to know who they are and where they come from, but understand that we don't just come from Lawton. We come from all over. Comanches are everywhere. We've been everywhere, and we're going to continue to be everywhere. But our home is where our heart is.
I agree. Yes. Everything that y'all do is just wonderful. You're such an inspiration, and you educate and you entertain at the same time, and that is a true gift because not everyone can do that. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I want to give Marla and Benny credit because, to me, Palo Duro has a major place in the history of the Comanche people. And it's sad because there's not a lot of Comanches that really have a strong interest in history. Last year, our chairman, Forrest Tadanipa, was here in the audience to watch the play. I invited him down to, give a welcome to everybody, and that was a good start. And maybe more and more of our people will have an interest in history, But what happens is, even whenever I was a young man, I went to first grade in Faxon, Oklahoma. And there was about 4 other Indian kids in the first grade with me. And the teacher said, "You're Mongolian." And there I was, I didn't know what to say. Okay, I'm Mongolian. So I get home, I said, "Mom, I'm a Mongolian." She started laughing. She said, "Where'd you hear that?" The teacher said that I was Mongolian because I crossed the Bering Straits. And she said, "You're not Mongolian, you're Comanche. Don't you forget that." And that stayed with me since first grade. Then when I was in the 5th grade, my classification changed to Caucasians. So I tell people I was a little white boy there for a while. And then in junior high, I became a Native American. In high school, I became American Indian, and then college, an indigenous group, and then my master's degree, I became a sovereign nation, and today I'm other. But this place has a strong part of our Comanche history, and ever since I was in the first grade, I've had an interest in our history. And I portrayed that in my term of office, try to reinstill the Comanche pride in who we were and who we are. And that's how the Comanche Fair started, because we need to have something to show the wonderful benefits that we have as a culture, and it's been going on ever since.
Yes, it has. It has. Well, thank you so much for all of you for being here with us today, and I look forward to this evening. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
want to thank you, Ira.
You know,
But
I give Marla and Benny the credit because these are wonderful, talented young people. And they have a strong interest in the history. And Benny will tell you a lot of stories that we don't even know. And Marla, when that person wanted to touch her hand, she's going to have people that will continue to want to do that because they realize she's real, you know? And she is. They are wonderful people. I like
agree.
that.
I cannot agree more. Thank you so much.
I like to say one more thing too. I like to, you know, thank y'all for coming out and, you know, doing this podcast here in beautiful Palo Duro Canyon. Today's a very special day, you know, for our Numina people. And I know we've tried to, whenever we do our Comanche Summer, we try to share it with many of our Comanche people and bringing them out, you know, but we're limited to who we can bring out. But one thing that, makes my heart feel good is when we have these little kids come out here and dance and hear that drum echo off these canyon walls.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It is. There's nothing like it.
Well, you got to give Dave credit, too,
Yes.
because he's been the backbone of the.
I like to think
he's-
So
Blake
one of
for
my
you.
favorite stories is they came out to dance, and there's a young boy, probably I'd say 4, and he saw a horse on the other side. Forget the dancing. He was all about that horse. We couldn't get him back on stage. He beelined to that horse. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Well, if you ever get a chance, come on out to watch the Texas musical and the Comanche Summer. This has been a wonderful time interviewing everybody, and I wish everybody safe travels home for those who came out here. And I would like to tell everyone that this has been a pleasure for us to be here today. Thank you for your hospitality and thank you for everything. We truly appreciate it. Ira. Thank you. Thank you. Reporting for the Comanche News and Namatequara, Nasa JJ Schonchin. Ira.